All right, ladies and gentlemen, just got done with a very chaotic chapter of One Piece, and now it's time to move on to My Hero, and then Jujutsu Kaisen after that. So let's go ahead and get the formalities out of the way, shall we? Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. The last chapter we got was basically the end of everything involving Himiko Toga, where she literally gave her own life in order to save Uraraka. So that only leaves two more major foes left in this entire series to take care of. That is all the original All for One, who is currently rewinding, and the last we saw of him is running into All Might, and Shigaraki, who's facing off against Midoriya. So let's begin with chapter 396. Yo, let's go! We start seeing All Might! I'm happy! We're doing it! We finally get to see what happens with All Might versus All for One! All Might versus All for One. Let's go! And we just get him speaking. It's funny how this almost makes sense, Night Eye. Continue down this path and you'll encounter a villain. What awaits you then is an unspeakably gruesome death. A villain, you said? Who'd ever believe this young man was All for One? If your Foresight Quirk's prediction still holds true, then this is it. That much is clear. And this is All Might standing there with his shirt open, and you can see the scar that All for One left him during their final fights that left them both grievously injured. You know, All for One's face was just jacked up from the face up, and All Might was injured in such a way that his ability to use One for All was significantly nerfed. And he was constantly coughing up blood. He even had to have some organs removed. But this is the moment where he's standing there in front of a crazed All for One. 30 minutes before the Toga Twice army faded away. And All Might screams, "I am here!" And All for One is glaring at All Might, looking crazed at him. And then he opens up his... Yo, this is an Iron Man suit! This is an Iron Man suit! The briefcase that All Might is holding opens up and it starts to take shape over his body. Gotta show my mug, right? As it shows Nana Shimura, who's smiling. And the... Yo, that is sick! That is sick! I love that! Yo, All Might is in a full-on Iron Man suit. But it doesn't cover his entire body. It just it covers everything except his face. Except the bottom half of his face, and he's just smiling underneath. Armored All Might! Chapter 396, Battle Without a Quirk. Roll camera, Hercules. Already recording. And All Might's car starts shifting around too. I'll keep you updated on my battle, Tsukauchi. A whole power suit? And his car's the support item?
Did someone say All Might versus All for One? Live stream! Live stream!
And this is La Brava, who's all like, well, we gotta show this to the world. Why, you little, not everything has to go to the internet. And I'm trying to make out what that says. Hold on, let me zoom in.
Live stream!
Why, you little, not everything has to go to the internet. And what, streaming is your Bankai? It literally says Bankai. Okay, we making references here. Wait, where are you headed to? To provide support for all. Given the state you're in, how? And this is Sukauchi talking to All Might before he left. So you've chosen how you'll greet death? All the tools and gadgets in the world, All the tools and gadgets in the world won't matter. A quirkless man could never hope to take on All for One. Stop the stream, Aiba. All we'd be broadcasting is the brutal death of a former hero, stealing a few minutes of All for One's time to make sure his pupil's fight goes uninterrupted. And All for One is just looking with his eyes open wide, glaring at him. All Might, the number one roadblock in my life. A toy worth mangling more than any other. Delaying my advance, a transparent ploy. You know exactly how this will play out. And then All Might is still smiling at All for One. What are you smiling about? Hercules! And it shows, wow, All Might's car is basically just an overlapping series of plates as they start to form around All Might. They form around All Might and create like this giant shield around him as All for One launches this giant Tesla laser beam. And the beam itself goes through several buildings. If you want a good example of how this electric laser looks, then just look up the atomic breath scene from Shin Godzilla. And the moment where his fire breath gets fine-tuned into a laser and it starts slicing through buildings, that's basically what it does to everything in the distance. This is All for One. This is All for One in his most unhinged, unstable state. So he's just unleashing powers recklessly all over. And the whole area behind All Might, after he's been shielded, implodes behind him. He took that and lived?
Hercules' shield's depleted by 66%. There will be no second time.
Works for me! A mad charge, no dodging, his classic style. That only ever worked because you held one for all! As All for One launches at All Might. As whips shoot out all over and grab hold of All for One. They go through his body. They go through his body to try and stop him. Black Whip. Charge Bolt. And the whips, I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything when All Might says, Hercules, red! And it shielded him, but I didn't. But all these whips overlap and go straight through All for One as he's flying towards All Might. Black Whip. Charge Bolt. And electricity courses through All for One's body with such power that it actually causes All for One's arm to kind of implode and blow up. It's like electrifying over his body, but it's incredibly high voltage. It's literally disintegrating him. But it's not killing him though. The electric current meddles with my regen. Wind him in cellophane as the chords start ramping up more and more. Ever since your final battle against my master, you've made a habit of kicking fights off with haphazard ranged attacks. Build up. Sugar Man. You love wearing folks down before stealing their quirks, but that approach is meant for fighting those with quirks.
You're still so gloomy about how this is gonna go, Mr. Cop?
And this is Labrava speaking to Sukauchi. After all that I've witnessed from him, I should know the measure of the man who's kept us safe and whole. The suit and the car are here to keep me in this fight, if only for a little bit. I came up with the specs and put in the design request. Back then, when you brought us to our knees, I had no choice but to take refuge over in the States. I made a friend there, and these are the fruits of that bond. Yo! Is this the girl from the My Hero Academia Hero Mission? I think I never watched the movie, but I recognize her face from the cover art of the Blu-ray itself. Do I have that? Hold on. Yeah, it's her. No, it's My Hero Academia 2 Heroes. This is it. This is her. The chick from 2 Heroes. This is her. Yo, I need to watch this. I need to watch this. I made a friend there, and these are the fruits of that bond. All that I've been blessed with will bear its weight against you. And this is All Might back then. I'll use this very hand to shape my own fate. We've known each other long enough that you should realize something, my dear friend. Shoot style smash! And he's using the different types of moves from his own students from Class 1A. Sugar Man, Midoriya's Black Whip, Cellophane, which is basically just like the tape powers of Seto. All these different configurations for his suit that's fashioned off of the different quirks of his own students. Shoot style smash! And he hits All for One while he's wrapped up in these whips and he's getting electrified. Not once in my entire life have I gone into battle expecting to lose! And that's the end of the chapter. Yo. Oh! Let's go, All Might! I'm sorry. Okay. Good afternoon and God bless to you too, Jabari. Good to see you too. This is the reason. God Almighty, this is the reason why All Might is the symbol of peace. Even though he's retired, even though he doesn't have a quirk, this man still has the same vigor, spirit as he did when he had a quirk and he was at the peak of his power. This is a legend right here. This man is going into a battle knowing full well that he could die. This man goes into a battle against an individual who is incredibly powerful, even more so since his mental state is unhinged as he's rewinding further and further. And he went into this fight. Even though Night Eye warned him that if he went up against All for One, but even if he went up against All for One again, it could mean the end of him. This man said, I never once in my life have I ever gone into a fight expecting to lose. Which means that every single time we've seen All Might fight, he has fought to win. He has fought to win from the very beginning without a shred of feeling like he's going to lose this a fight at all. This man goes in there with full-on Mark 47 Iron Man suit. His own car can transform as well and aid him, and all of his attacks and all of his configurations are patterned after the different quirks of some of his students. Not all of them, but some of them. This quirkless man is able to contend with All for One right now. And what makes this even more legendary is the fact that even though All Might is in a state where he can't do much quirk-wise, he is out here. And the beautiful thing is, everyone can see this fight against All Might. This fight against All for One with All Might, and it's being broadcast all over. The suit and the car are here to keep me in this fight, if only for a bit. I came up with the specs and put into the design requests. Back then, when you brought us to our knees, I had no choice but to take refuge over in the States. I made a friend there, and these are the fruits of that bond. All that I've been blessed with will bear its weight against you. We've known each other long enough that you should realize something, my dear friend. Not once in my entire life have I gone into battle expecting to lose. This is the reason why Stain said, All Might is worthy! He truly is. Even as it says right now. Even as it is right now, All Might is still so incredibly worthy to be a hero. Even though he doesn't even have a quirk anymore. He's the GOAT, okay? He's the GOAT. Dear friend is Tasuka Uchi. Oh, okay. We've known each other long enough that you should realize something, my dear friend. Not once in my entire life have I gone into battle expecting to lose. Kasuga Uchi was like, dude, don't do this because you could die. Who knows if that prediction could be real? You're going up against a person without a quirk. But All Might literally left any... All Might is the greatest. All Might is the greatest. I love this chapter. Look, we already got a 10 out of 10 setup chapter for One Piece. That's on break. All the manga chapters I react to are going on break because My Hero's going on break, One Piece is going on break, and so is Jujutsu after I read through that one. So no chapters next week. But there's something laying on the surface of my eye. I gotta take care of that. This was a great chapter. I enjoyed it. All Might still fighting with the same fire against his mortal enemy. And you know what? It's because All For One is in the state that he's in, is that All Might is able to contend with him. All For One sees this as like, hey, I'm kind of unhinged, but I can just unleash all these powerful attacks against All Might, and then I'll just kill him, and that'll be the end of it. But what he doesn't realize is that by him rewinding, his ability to control his powers and be a lot more refined has left. He was more refined when he was actually older. But his powers and inability to keep his negative emotions from affecting him, that has progressed to a point where it's just overly affecting it right now. He's no longer the refined, all-for-one master villain that he was before. He's literally a man on borrowed time, backed into a corner, trying to get to his student so that he can bond with him. So he's not in a state right now where he could be like, because I honestly feel like if All Might faced off against All For One before All For One was affected by the rewind drug, he probably would have given All Might a much, much, much harder time. But as it stands right now, All Might is in a place where his foe is slowly regressing backwards and backwards. His control over his powers is regressing more and more, and his inability to think things through on a calm, reasonable person level is now in a state. Is now something that All Might can take advantage of, and it shows you. Because imagine if All For One was still his still calm self, he probably would have used some quirks to keep All Might from getting to him. But that's no longer the case because All For One is just ignoring harm to his own person. And he's now getting hit by everything from All Might instead of being ready to take it down and even reading All Might anymore. That's gone, which gives All Might a slight advantage. Before he could handle All Might's smile, now it sends him mad like how Shigaraki was after Star and Stripes fight. Yeah, it's that smile. It's that smile. It's that smile that intimidates All For One so much. The same smile that gives people hope, which All For One doesn't want. The same smile that gives people something to look forward to. A happy sense of feeling. Not feelings of despair. Not feelings of like everything is going to go badly. All Might's smile is still one that can keep people grinning ear to ear. All Might is the Gear 5 of My Hero Academia. Able to warm the hearts of literally everyone that's around him. Make everyone feel safe. All Might is the warrior of liberation. Even without a quirk, he's still a warrior of liberation. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't be dragging One Piece into this, but he literally is. He even got goaded by All Might to bull rush him. Since All Might rushed in first, he would have stayed at a distance like in Kamino up until the end. Yes. It just shows you how far All For One has gone with his rewind, where he's no longer in a state where he can easily assess the situation and then use it to his advantage. He's basically in a semi-berserker state right now, where he's easily irritable, easily agitated, and he's liable to lash out at a moment's notice. Not calm, with precision, but recklessly, with reckless abandon. Honestly, if All For One was in his right mind, he would have just bounced and went straight for Shiggy. Yeah, he would. I'm scared because he could die in this fight, as is all of us. All of us, because we don't know how this is going to go. And this is a thought that's probably going to stay in a lot of our minds for an entire week until we come back the week after next. But and here's the thing, All Might, if I go back here, Sugauchi's trying to tell him, wait, where are you off to? And then All Might is going to provide support for all. Given the state that you're in, so you've chosen how you'll greet death, all the tools and gadgets in the world won't matter. A quirkless man could never hope to take on All For One. And Sugauchi pretty much has it in his mind that if you don't have a quirk, you can't face off against the most dangerous villain that exists in the world right now, aside from Shigaraki. But All Might out here is showing him that if you got grit, spirit, you can take on even someone as powerful as All For One. Also, All Might is showing his intelligence, not just with designing the suit, but his fight tactics. Yes, because All For One is just expecting All Might to just fight the same way. Just rushing in foolishly and trying to beat him down with just pure brute strength. Because All Might only used like that aspect of All For One, of One For All. He never got access to any of the other quirks. So, to compensate, he had a suit created for him that can basically take advantage of the different types of quirks that not only his students have, Midoriya, Sugarman, all these different quirks, but make it so that it can make up for his lack of quirks. What we're witnessing is an Iron Man versus Thanos fight right now. But I feel like we're going to see a lot more than just a simple drop of blood come from All For One, because he was not prepared for All Might to be, this serious about beating him. Also, can we just talk about All Might's suit? His suit is clean. It looks like something straight out of Bring Arts Kai. It looks so clean. Allie, good to see you. Hey there, Kyushu. This is a fantastic chapter. Yes, it is. I'm confident All Might will live. His victory here will be a fantastic end to his arc of finding purpose again after retirement and learning from his students, especially Deku. I would very much like for All Might to survive and see Midoriya grow and become the number one hero, the savior of the world. If anything, if All Might were to die, I would prefer it be after Midoriya beats Shigaraki. So at least if he were to die, just saying that on the side, if he were to die, he can at least die knowing that his student has saved the world. If he doesn't, then at least he can watch his student save the world. So I would very much like that. But it depends on how Horikoshi is feeling. I'm pretty sure Horikoshi already has it already figured out. So we just gotta wait. We're on a break right now. We're on break. All Might versus All For One all over again. And All Might is already ready. This was a good chapter. This was such a good chapter. Now I'm thinking, okay, so today we had a fantastic chapter of One Piece. Now we just had a fantastic chapter of My Hero Academia. I'm just wondering about Jujutsu. This fight is the embodiment of Plus Ultra. Yeah, this is the embodiment of Plus Ultra for All Might, and he's saying it with gusto. He's saying it with his back out. It's just, nervous for All Might, especially in the beginning of the chapter, mentioning the scene was taking place 20 minutes before the Twice clones started fading away. Why did they bring that up? Because it's letting us know that this is what happened. This is what happened 20 minutes before Himiko Toga reconciliation with Uraraka, and the power of Twice disappeared from her. This fight is happening 20 minutes before the Toga Twice army faded away. So everything that happened with the previous chapters, this fight with All Might versus All for One is happening then. During those previous chapters, those previous 3 chapters, this fight is already happening. We're seeing what happened during that time. So this isn't even the present. We're going back 20 minutes prior. I love My Hero Academia. I'm looking forward to the next chapter. I don't want to keep you Toga's Twice clones managed to make it to Gunga. Yes. So, keeping track of what happens when could be important to keep in mind, as these battles could theoretically affect each other. Yeah. Because is All Might in the same city outside of the Gunga Mountains? Because if he is, what if the Twice clones come in during the fight between All Might and All for One? And they get caught up in the vast tsunami, and then the fight continues or ends after the Twice clones dissipate due to the conclusion of the Himiko versus Uraraka fight. That's just a thought to keep in mind now. Because if this has happened 20 minutes prior, then we need to keep all that in mind. Thank you, Midoriya Shonen. Thank you. That's the thing, because it doesn't necessarily say that All Might is in the same city. It doesn't say what city All Might is in. It could be the very same city that slowly started to get bombarded by the Twice clones when Himiko started to go insane. Well, more insane. Kind of like how the Todoroki fights created a storm that spread all over. Possibly. We'll have to see. But let me not keep you here any more than I already have. We already had a 10 out of 10 chapter for One Piece. This is a 10 out of 10 chapter for My Hero Academia. Seeing All Might fight again, even without a quirk, and even in his heavily weakened state, he still wants to take on one of the strongest opponents in this entire series. That's a hero. Even when it looks like, even when face against insurmountable odds, he still wants to charge the big bad on his own, because that's what a hero does. It doesn't matter about the circumstances. All that matters is if you move. This is a 10 out of 10 chapter. I love this. I love this chapter. But let me not keep you here any more than I already have. I got to move on to Jujutsu and then relax just a little bit, because I might be playing Cyberpunk 2077 after I'm done here. Just a chill stream if you guys want to stop by. But I have to see if I'm feeling up to it or if I'll just push that back to Monday. But, good chapter. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. And it's like smiling in the face of danger. It's funny because All Might is in more danger than All for One and took more damage overall. Yeah. And yet he still goes into this fight with a smile. And with a mindset of like, not once in my life have I ever, not once in my life have I ever gone into a fight expecting to lose. This man has the confidence and assurance of a hero who's ready. But I'm good. Oh my goodness. All Might is awesome. He's an inspiration. Oh my God, I'm done. All I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, please, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share this stream with everyone you know, because the more the merrier. And because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. All hail All Might!